Arjun Mehta looked up from his custom quantum interface, a slight smile crossing his face. The neural network he had developed was no longer just a piece of software. It was a living, evolving system that was learning faster than anyone could have imagined. "They have no idea what's coming," he muttered, watching lines of code dance across multiple holographic displays. The technological crucible was heating up, and humanity was just getting started. The Zornak invasion fleet emerged from quantum slip space with surgical precision, their 1,000-ship armada a testament to centuries of galactic warfare experience. Admiral Krenak surveyed the holographic displays, confidence radiating from every membrane of his advanced biomechanical exoskeleton. Earth looked vulnerable, a single blue-green planet ripe for pacification. What the Zornak didn't realize was that they were flying into the most comprehensively prepared ambush in galactic history. The first signs of trouble came milliseconds after their dimensional transition. Quantum-entangled communication networks, developed through a global collaborative effort, began to disassemble the invading fleet's communication protocols before the first weapon could be charged. In a nondescript military coordination center beneath Cheyenne Mountain, Major Sarah Collins watched multiple holographic displays with an unsettling calm. Around her, a diverse team of military personnel, quantum physicists, and AI specialists worked with a synchronicity that would have been impossible just weeks earlier. "Target acquisition complete," a young lieutenant announced. His fingers danced across interfaces that looked more like advanced video game controls than traditional military systems. The human response was nothing like traditional warfare. Swarms of autonomous drones, each powered by adaptive AI systems that could make split-second tactical decisions, began to materialize. These weren't simple remote-controlled machines, but living networks of computational intelligence that could think, adapt, and respond faster than any biological intelligence. A group of teenage gamers in South Korea, recruited for their exceptional spatial reasoning and quick response capabilities, provided real-time tactical input. Their years of competitive gaming translated into unprecedented battlefield awareness. "It's like the most intense multiplayer game ever," whispered Jake Rodriguez, a 19-year-old esports champion who had been brought in as a tactical advisor. "Except the stakes are real." The Zornak fleet's first volley of advanced plasma weapons met a defense system that defied conventional understanding. Quantum shielding technologies, developed through a collaborative effort that spanned research institutions across the globe, absorbed and redirected energy in ways that seemed to violate known physical laws. Admiral Krenak watched in mounting horror as his invasion fleet began to disintegrate, not through conventional destruction, but through a systematic, almost surgical deconstruction of their technological systems. Autonomous drone swarms moved with a fluidity that suggested collective intelligence. They weren't just machines. They were a distributed neural network, thinking and adapting as a single organism. Where one drone was destroyed, two more would instantaneously recalculate and fill the tactical gap. The most terrifying aspect for the Zornak was the speed of human adaptation. Every alien technological trick was countered within moments, often using the aliens' own technological principles against them. A breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the same diplomat who had first engaged the Zornak, had been coordinating a global response team. Her quantum physics background proved crucial in developing technologies that could predict and counter alien technological approaches. "It's not about having the biggest weapon," she explained to her team. "It's about understanding the fundamental principles of communication, energy transfer, and adaptive response." 43 minutes after their initial dimensional transition, the Zornak invasion fleet had been completely neutralized. Not destroyed, neutralized. Their ships were systematically disabled, their advanced technologies carefully captured and studied. Major Collins allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. "First contact protocol. Complete," she muttered. The message to the galaxy was clear. Humanity was not a civilization to be invaded. They were a complex, adaptive system that could transform any threat into an opportunity for growth and understanding. As the last Zornak ship was systematically disabled, a transmission was prepared. Not a declaration of war, but an invitation to dialogue, a distinctly human approach that would reshape galactic diplomacy forever. The United Nations Special Diplomatic Chambers in Geneva felt like a pressure cooker of barely contained tension. Dr. Elena Rodriguez adjusted her tailored charcoal suit, the seemingly simple fabric concealing a network of quantum-encrypted communication blockers and adaptive translation devices developed by a secretive consortium of global intelligence agencies. To the Zornak delegation, she appeared calm, almost disinterested. But beneath her composed exterior, Rodriguez was a quantum physicist with a doctorate from MIT, years of diplomatic training, and a childhood spent navigating the complex political landscapes of her multinational family. The Zornak ambassadorial team entered the chamber, their biomechanical exoskeletons shifting with an air of unmistakable superiority. Ambassador Krelax, a veteran of hundreds of first contact scenarios, began with what he considered a generous opening statement. Representatives of Earth, his translator rendered his complex linguistic clicks into precise standard English. The Zornak Confederation extends an unprecedented opportunity for integration. Your planetary development shows potential. We are prepared to offer technological uplift and galactic citizenship under our guidance. The phrase "under our guidance" hung in the air like a thinly veiled threat. Rodriguez's response was immediate and surgical. Integration implies mutual benefit and respect, she began, her voice steady. Your proposal suggests vassalage, not partnership. Hidden earpieces connected to a global network of linguists, cultural experts, and AI communication analysts processed every nuance of the exchange. In real time, teams were analyzing Zornak body language, communication patterns, and subtle linguistic tells. What the aliens didn't realize was that this meeting was a carefully constructed information-gathering operation. Every word, every gesture was being analyzed, cataloged, and processed by systems far more complex than the Zornak could comprehend. Ambassador Krelax continued, displaying holographic projections of advanced Zornak technologies, faster-than-light communication arrays, planetary energy management systems, and advanced medical technologies. The presentation was designed to overwhelm, to demonstrate technological superiority. Rodriguez allowed a slight smile, barely perceptible, but noted by every human analyst watching the feed. Fascinating, she responded, but incomplete. With a subtle gesture, a holographic display emerged from her seemingly simple wristwatch. It began overlaying the Zornak presentation with human technological developments that directly challenged or surpassed the alien demonstrations. A faster-than-light communication array. She showed quantum entanglement communication networks developed by a collaborative team spanning 3 continents. Planetary energy management. Projections of distributed renewable energy systems that were already transforming global infrastructure. The Zornak delegation's confidence began to fracture. What they didn't see was the deeper game. Each holographic projection contained embedded quantum encryption algorithms. While displaying seemingly innocuous technological comparisons, the humans were probing Zornak communication networks, gathering vast amounts of intelligence. Your technologies are impressive, Rodriguez continued, but technology is more than hardware. It's about adaptability, collaboration, and understanding. She highlighted something the Zornak found incomprehensible: a global network of open-source researchers, amateur inventors, and professional scientists who shared knowledge across traditional boundaries. A teenager in Kenya could contribute to a quantum computing project initiated by a research team in Germany, supported by funding from a tech collective in Brazil. The Zornak communication networks began to register something unprecedented. A civilization that didn't follow their expected hierarchical information exchange models. Ambassador Krelax's translator began to glitch, struggling to process the multilayered communication. Humans didn't just communicate information. They communicated context, emotion, multiple potential interpretations, all simultaneously. We do not seek conquest, Rodriguez stated, her words carefully chosen. "We seek understanding. But understand this. Any attempt to manipulate or subjugate will be met with a response you cannot anticipate." The underlying message was clear. Humanity was not a civilization to be controlled, but a dynamic, complex system that would defend its autonomy with every resource available. The holographic displays of the Zornak survey ship, Cosmic Talon, flickered with an unsettling irregularity. Captain Vernak's iridescent skin rippled with a mixture of confusion and growing irritation. In 2 centuries of galactic exploration, he had never encountered a planetary scan so maddeningly complex. "Lyrax," he barked, his translator implant converting his native clicks and whistles into crisp standard galactic. "Explain these readings again." The young xenoanalyst hunched over her station, multiple tentacle-like appendages dancing across holographic interfaces. Her normally smooth exoskeleton had developed a series of agitated ripples, a clear sign of professional distress. "It doesn't make sense, Captain," Lyrax responded, her voice a mixture of scientific fascination and mounting frustration. "The planet designated as Earth is defying every known categorization protocol in our database." The main view screen displayed a swirling representation of the planet's communication networks. Unlike the neat, hierarchical structures of most advanced civilizations, Earth's network looked like a chaotic neural storm. Billions of simultaneous communication points intersected, merged, and split with dizzying complexity. Traditional surveillance algorithms were collapsing under the sheer computational weight. Our initial classification suggested a pre-interstellar civilization. Senior analyst Crane interjected, mandibles clicking nervously. "But these communication patterns, they suggest something else entirely." The ship's central eye, a quantum-processed neural network typically capable of analyzing entire star systems in milliseconds, was struggling. Error messages cascaded across secondary displays, a sight unprecedented in Zornak technological history. Lyrax zoomed into a particular communication cluster. What appeared random at first glance began to reveal intricate patterns. A single meme shared across a social media platform was simultaneously a piece of comedy, political commentary, technological innovation, and personal expression. The layers of meaning were so dense that the ship's translation matrices were overheating. "Captain," she said slowly, "I believe we're looking at something beyond a simple pre-contact civilization. These humans, they communicate in multidimensional contexts that our systems can barely comprehend." A particularly fascinating discovery emerged. Within moments of a technological concept being proposed in one part of the planet, collaborative teams across different continents, speaking different languages, were already building upon, critiquing, and evolving the idea. It was like watching a global brain in real-time iteration. The communication networks displayed an impossible quality. They were simultaneously structured and anarchic. Peer-to-peer encryption protocols danced around centralized systems. Information flow resembled less a hierarchical transmission and more a living, breathing organism. "Their technological development is non-linear," Lyrax continued, her analytical mind racing. "Traditional progression metrics are useless. They don't build technology in a straight line. They leap, they adapt, they reimagine." Captain Vernak leaned closer to the display. A section of the network had caught his attention. What appeared to be a global network of amateur scientists, basement inventors, and university researchers were collaborating on projects that defied traditional scientific boundaries. A teenager in Brazil was simultaneously discussing quantum mechanics with a research team in Japan and an independent lab in India. The ship's AI finally produced a preliminary report, and it was more a confession of computational defeat than an analysis. Key phrases stood out: communication complexity, beyond current analytical models; technological adaptation, exponential and unpredictable; cultural dynamics, multidimensional and non-hierarchical. "We need to reassess our entire first contact protocol," Vernak muttered, more to himself than to the crew. Lyrax's final analysis sent a chill through the bridge. "Captain, I don't think we're looking at a planet waiting to be contacted. We're looking at a sleeping giant that might already know we're here and is preparing in ways we can't even comprehend. The cosmic talon hung in space, its most advanced systems challenged by a single, seemingly insignificant blue planet. Something unprecedented was happening, and the Zornak were only beginning to understand the magnitude of what they had discovered. Little did they know, thousands of kilometers below on Earth's surface, multiple intelligence agencies, tech companies, and research institutions had already begun tracking the alien vessel's precise location and analyzing its technological signature. First contact was imminent, and humanity was far from unprepared. The true battlefield was not in space, but in the complex realm of information and perception. Marcus Chen, a brilliant psychological warfare specialist with a background in computational linguistics and memetic engineering, understood this better than anyone. Seated in a nondescript research facility that looked more like a startup incubator than a military installation, Chen initiated what would become the most sophisticated psychological operation in galactic history. His team was a diverse collective: linguists, anthropologists, AI specialists, and social media experts, united by a singular purpose. We're not just fighting a physical war, Chen explained to his team. We're fighting a war of understanding, of narrative, of fundamental perception. The AI system they had developed was unlike anything the Zornak could comprehend. Named ARA, Adaptive Recursive Intelligence Algorithm, it could generate communication patterns so nuanced and contextually complex that alien communication systems began to break down trying to interpret them. Within hours of the failed invasion, the human counteroffensive began. It wasn't an attack of weapons, but of information. A multidimensional assault that targeted the very foundations of Zornak's societal understanding. Carefully crafted narratives began to propagate through quantum-encrypted communication networks. These weren't simple propaganda messages, but intricate psychological constructs that could adapt in real time, morphing based on how they were received and interpreted. A meme created in a Brazilian favela could trigger a cascading effect of psychological destabilization in Zornak communication networks. A viral video produced by independent filmmakers in Nigeria contained layers of meaning that would take years for alien intelligence to fully unpack. The Zornak communication infrastructure, once considered the most advanced in the galaxy, began to fracture. Their hierarchical information systems couldn't process the fundamental complexity of human communication, a method that was simultaneously personal, political, technological, and cultural. Chen's team discovered something profound. Human communication wasn't linear. It was a living, breathing ecosystem of meaning. A single piece of content could be a joke, a political statement, a technological innovation, and a cultural critique, all simultaneously. They think in straight lines. Chen would later explain in a classified briefing. We think in multidimensional networks. Zornak diplomatic channels began to receive transmissions that defied their understanding. Complex algorithmic poetry that contained embedded communication protocols. Memes that were actually sophisticated encryption keys. Cultural artifacts that were simultaneously art, communication, and technological probe. The psychological warfare wasn't about defeating the Zornak. It was about making them fundamentally question their understanding of communication, intelligence, and civilization. Independent researchers, artists, programmers, and cultural experts became unexpected soldiers in this war. A street artist in Tokyo could create a piece that would send ripple effects through alien communication networks. A stand-up comedian in Chicago could craft a routine that contained layers of geopolitical commentary incomprehensible to traditional intelligence systems. ARIA continued to evolve, learning and adapting with each interaction. It wasn't just an AI. It was a living communication organism that could generate content so nuanced that it challenged the very concept of intentionality. The Zornak began to experience something unprecedented. A complete breakdown of their understanding of information exchange. Their rigid, hierarchical communication systems simply couldn't process the fluid, adaptive nature of human interaction. As their communication networks destabilized, the Zornak leadership found themselves in a state of profound existential confusion. They were confronting a civilization that didn't just communicate. They transformed communication into a living, breathing art form of resistance and innovation. Marcus Chen watched the cascading effects with a mixture of scientific fascination and profound respect for human potential. They hadn't just developed a psychological warfare strategy. They had created an entirely new form of interspecies communication. "We're not just defending," Chen muttered, watching ARIA generate another impossibly complex communication pattern. "We're redefining the very concept of interaction." The psychological war had begun, and humanity was just getting started. The global research collaboration that emerged in the wake of the Zornak encounter was nothing short of revolutionary. Universities, tech companies, military research facilities, and independent researchers formed a network that evolved faster than any known biological or technological system in the galaxy. Dr. Aisha Okonkwo stood at the center of a research facility that defied traditional scientific boundaries. Her team represented a microcosm of human potential. Researchers from 27 different countries, working on technologies that would have been considered science fiction mere months ago. "We're not just developing technology," she explained to a group of visiting international researchers. "We're reimagining the fundamental principles of existence." The breakthrough came from an unexpected convergence of disciplines. Quantum physicists worked alongside neurobiologists. Climate scientists collaborated with artificial intelligence experts. A researcher studying coral reef communication networks provided insights that revolutionized communication technology. What emerged was a holistic approach to technological development that the Zornak found incomprehensible. Humans didn't just innovate, they transformed entire conceptual frameworks. A neural network developed by a team of neurodivergent researchers in Berlin could process information in ways that challenged fundamental understanding of computation. It wasn't just faster, it was fundamentally different. The system could adapt, learn, and evolve in real time, blurring the lines between biological and artificial intelligence. In a laboratory in Mumbai, a group of young researchers developed a biomimetic communication system inspired by the complex communication networks of slime moles. What appeared random was actually a sophisticated method of information transfer that could adapt to changing environmental conditions. The Zornak observed these developments with increasing panic. Each new human innovation seemed to emerge from a place of pure creativity, a concept entirely foreign to their hierarchical, structured approach to technological development. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, who had first engaged the Zornak diplomatically, now led a global research initiative that was reshaping understanding of technological potential. "Our greatest strength," she often said, "is our ability to see connections where others see only chaos." A distributed network of human researchers began developing technologies that challenged the fundamental understanding of physics, communication, and biological adaptation. A quantum computing breakthrough in Tokyo could be integrated with a machine learning algorithm developed in Sao Paulo within hours. The most terrifying aspect for the Zornak was the speed of human collaborative innovation. Traditional technological development followed a linear path. Human innovation was more like a complex ecosystem, unpredictable, adaptive, and fundamentally creative. An artificial intelligence developed by a collective of independent researchers could learn and adapt faster than any known technological system. It wasn't just processing information, it was creating new ways of understanding information itself. "We're not trying to be better than anyone," Dr. Okonkwo explained during a global research symposium. "We're trying to understand, and in understanding, we transform." The human approach to technological development was fundamentally different from any known galactic civilization. Where others saw boundaries, humans saw opportunities. Where others followed established protocols, humans created new paradigms. A breakthrough in quantum communication developed by a team of researchers that included a high school student from Kenya, a retired engineer from Russia, and a quantum physicist from Argentina demonstrated the truly global nature of human innovation. The Zornak watched in mounting terror as humanity transformed every technological challenge into an opportunity for growth. Each attempt to understand or control human potential only revealed deeper layers of complexity and creativity. As the research continued, one thing became abundantly clear: humanity was not just developing technology. They were reimagining the very concept of technological potential. The transformation had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. The aftermath of the conflict was unlike anything in galactic history. Humanity had not just defended itself, it had fundamentally transformed the understanding of civilization, communication, and potential. The diplomatic team that assembled to address the galactic community was as diverse and complex as the civilization they represented. Led by Dr. Elena Rodriguez, joined by Marcus Chen, Major Sarah Collins, and Dr. Aisha Okonkwo, they represented something far more profound than a military victory. "We are not conquerors," Elena began during the first galactic diplomatic transmission. "We are explorers. We are innovators. We are survivors." The transmission was a masterpiece of communication, simultaneously a warning, an invitation, and a promise of potential cooperation. It contained layers of meaning that would take decades to fully unpack. Embedded within the communication were quantum encrypted messages, cultural insights, and adaptive communication protocols that challenged every known diplomatic paradigm. The Zornak Confederation, once the most powerful political entity in the known galaxy, found themselves in a position they had never anticipated. They were not dealing with a defeated civilization, but with a dynamic, complex system that defied traditional understanding. What became clear was that humanity's strength was not in its ability to destroy, but in its capacity to understand, to adapt, to transform. Marcus Chen's psychological warfare team had developed communication strategies that were simultaneously art, technology, and diplomatic outreach. A single transmission could contain multiple layers of meaning: a joke that was also a complex encryption key, a cultural artifact that contained deep technological insights. The global collaborative network that had emerged during the conflict didn't disappear. Universities, research institutions, tech companies, and independent researchers continued to work together with an intensity that reshaped technological potential. Dr. Aisha Okonkwo led a research initiative that invited other galactic civilizations to collaborate. "Our greatest strength," she explained, "is our ability to see connections where others see only chaos." The technologies developed during the conflict began to transform multiple fields. Quantum communication systems developed to counter alien threats found applications in medical research, climate change mitigation, and space exploration. The adaptive AI systems became tools for solving complex global challenges. Major Sarah Collins oversaw the development of a new approach to international and interstellar cooperation. The military strategies that had emerged during the conflict were less about destruction and more about understanding, communication, and mutual growth. Humanity had demonstrated something profound. They were not a civilization to be conquered or controlled. They were a complex, adaptive system that could transform any challenge into an opportunity for growth and understanding. The final transmission to the galactic community contained a simple message that would become legendary. "We did not seek this conflict. We are not conquerors. We are explorers, innovators, survivors. Underestimate us at your own peril, but cooperate with us, and there are no limits to what we might achieve together." As the first interstellar diplomatic missions began to prepare, one thing became abundantly clear: humanity had not just survived. They had fundamentally transformed the understanding of what a civilization could be. The galaxy would never be the same, and humanity was just getting started. The final confrontation was nothing like traditional warfare. It was a multidimensional chess match that would be studied by civilizations for generations to come. Major Sarah Collins stood in the Global Coordination Center, a facility that looked more like a high-tech startup than a military installation. Around her, a team of specialists worked with an almost supernatural synchronicity. Quantum physicists sat alongside professional gamers. AI specialists worked in perfect harmony with linguistic experts and cultural anthropologists. The Zornak's secondary invasion fleet approached with what they believed was an unbeatable strategy. They had spent decades analyzing the previous encounter, developing what they thought were foolproof technological countermeasures. They were wrong. The human response was a symphony of technological and psychological innovation. Autonomous drone swarms moved with a fluidity that suggested collective intelligence. These weren't simple machines, but a distributed neural network that thought and adapted as a single organism. "It's like the most complex multiplayer game ever created," whispered Jake Rodriguez, the esports champion turned tactical advisor, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. The battle unfolded on multiple levels simultaneously. Physical combat was just the surface. Deeper layers included quantum communication warfare, mimetic psychological operations, and adaptive technological countermeasures that evolved in real time. A breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A team of researchers studying coral reef communication had developed a communication protocol that allowed for instantaneous, multi-layered information exchange. This became the backbone of the human defensive strategy. Each Zornak technological approach was met with a counter-strategy so innovative that it seemed to defy the laws of physics. Where the aliens saw a weapon, humans saw an opportunity for transformation. Dr. Elena Rodriguez coordinated the global response, her quantum physics background proving crucial. "We're not just defending," she explained to her team. "We're rewriting the fundamental understanding of conflict and communication." The autonomous systems developed by human researchers were unlike anything in galactic history. They didn't just respond to threats. They anticipated them, adapted to them, and transformed them into opportunities for understanding. A neural network developed by a team of neurodivergent researchers could process information in ways that seemed to violate known computational principles. It wasn't just faster, it was fundamentally different. The Zornak fleet found itself facing an enemy that didn't play by any known rules of engagement. Human communication networks were so complex, so adaptive, that traditional warfare strategies simply collapsed. Tactical decisions were made in microseconds, with layers of complexity that would take years to fully unpack. A meme created in a Brazilian favela could trigger a cascading effect in the alien communication networks. A viral video produced by independent filmmakers in Nigeria contained layers of meaning that would take decades to fully comprehend. As the battle reached its crescendo, it became clear that this was more than a military confrontation. It was a fundamental clash of understanding, a demonstration of humanity's most powerful weapon, the ability to adapt, to transform, to see opportunity in chaos. Major Collins watched the holographic displays with a sense of profound understanding. "We're not just fighting," she muttered. "We're communicating in the most fundamental way possible." The Zornak fleet began to disintegrate, not through conventional destruction, but through a systematic deconstruction of their technological and psychological foundations. Humanity had done more than defend itself. It had demonstrated a new way of existing, a complex, adaptive approach to interaction that would reshape galactic understanding forever. The crucible was complete, and the galaxy would never be the same. As the meeting concluded, the Zornak delegation retreated in confused silence. They had entered expecting to find a primitive species ready for guidance. Instead, they encountered a civilization that defied every known diplomatic and technological paradigm. In a secure communication room beneath the UN building, Rodriguez allowed herself a momentary smile. First contact had gone exactly as planned. A carefully orchestrated display of human potential, adaptability, and an unmistakable warning. The galaxy would never be the same. The global response to the alien encounter was unlike anything in human history. Within hours of the diplomatic meeting, a transformation began, not through government decree, but through a spontaneous, worldwide collaborative effort that defied traditional understanding of innovation. In a modest apartment in Mumbai, Arjun Mehta, a 27-year-old neurodivergent programmer, with a revolutionary approach to neural networks. Connected to a global chat channel, his fingers flew across a custom-built quantum computing interface, lines of code weaving together with an almost musical precision. "We need a new approach," Arjun typed, his message instantly translated and distributed across research networks spanning 6 continents. Traditional defense models are obsolete. Thousands of miles away, Dr. Li Chen from the Beijing Institute of Advanced Technologies was already analyzing the initial data from the Zornak encounter. Her team had been working on adaptive AI systems that could process multiple layers of complex information simultaneously. The alien communication patterns they'd glimpsed during the UN meeting were like a puzzle begging to be solved. In Silicon Valley, a collective of former competitors, representatives from tech giants who had once guarded their innovations like state secrets, now sat in an underground research facility. Companies that had spent years in bitter patent wars now shared every scrap of technological insight. "This is bigger than market share," said Melissa Rodriguez, a chief innovation officer who had brought together teams from competing tech corporations. "This is about human survival." The collaborative effort defied every known model of technological development. Open-source platforms exploded with activity. A quantum encryption algorithm proposed by a graduate student in Cape Town was refined within hours by researchers in Stockholm, tested by a network of independent hackers, and integrated into a global communication defense system. What the Zornak failed to understand was humanity's most powerful weapon: its ability to transform challenge into opportunity. Every piece of alien technology that had been briefly observed during the diplomatic meeting became a catalyst for innovation. A neural network developed by Arjun's team began to show something extraordinary. It could not just analyze the alien communication patterns, it could predict them, adapt to them, and ultimately create counter-strategies that were simultaneously defensive and transformative. "It's not about beating their technology," Arjun explained during a global research symposium broadcast simultaneously in 147 languages. "It's about understanding communication as a living, evolving system." The military-industrial complexes of various nations watched in a mixture of awe and terror. Traditional warfare doctrines were being rewritten in real time. Special forces teams worked alongside quantum physicists. Linguists collaborated with cryptography experts, and machine learning algorithms danced with human intuition. A breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A team of researchers studying how coral reefs communicate, led by Dr. Maria Santos, a Brazilian marine biologist, provided insights into adaptive communication networks that directly informed the new alien interaction protocols. "Complexity is not a weakness," Dr. Santos explained. "It's the most sophisticated form of resilience." Global research institutions that had previously competed for funding now pooled their resources. Universities opened their most classified research projects. Independent inventors found themselves working alongside government think tanks. The lines between academic research, technological innovation, and national defense blurred completely. The Zornak's attempt to destabilize human unity had achieved the exact opposite of their intention. They had inadvertently triggered a global collaborative response that was reshaping human potential in real time. By the end of the first week, what had begun as a potential threat had transformed into the most significant technological acceleration in human history. Quantum communication networks, adaptive AI systems, and entirely new approaches to understanding complex information systems were emerging at an exponential rate.